transitioning, last but not least, you know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, we gotta look at the Celtics and the Celtics and the Sixers. They played last night, and the Celtics have been struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like, they lost by 10. It was basically like it's a big lead throughout the whole game. And, you know, the Sixers look good because Embiid is fully back. You know, Simmons is there. Simmons only went 4 for 7, 12 points, but he's defensive. Like, this team defensively, with the length of Harris is playing way better defense, right? The length of Harris, the length of 6'10". You have a length of Simmons, a 6'10" PG, you know what I'm saying? The length of Embiid. You have Danny Green, who's not a small guy, so they have only Curry's a small guy, but even then, just the length overall. Then now you have Thibault coming in, you have Mike Scott, they have great length. They get a lot of deflections. Like, their defense is elite. And, you know, a lot of it is obviously starting from Ben Simmons as, like, the main perimeter guy, right? His defense is actually elite. But when you look at it from that perspective, the Sixers are something, you know, to actually, like, they're the number 1, 2 seed. They're literally elite, especially Embiid doing what he was doing. You know, he had 35 points. And, you know, the man shot 20 free throws. Like, Embiid is, like, the big version of Harden in terms of drawing fouls, right? So, like, you know, Embiid is trying to have his MVP season, all that type of stuff. But when you look at it, like, I have to see this in playoffs for me to fully believe in the Sixers. Like, there's nothing that I see that makes me fully believe in the Sixers to that magnitude of making the finals. And what I mean by that is that they still have an elephant in the room. They still have Simmons can't take a shot. Simmons is playing the rebounder on the block. Like, defensive schemes, the defenses you see right now on Philly, like, people aren't game planning for them like that. Like, you just play the next team, you rest, you come back. Like, you tell them to watch film and whatever, and you have a game plan coming in, but it's not like we study you for 2 weeks, we study you for the whole week. Like, it's not like that. It's not intense like that. You already know playoffs is a whole different season, and it's a completely different ball game. So they would force you to your weaknesses more often, and Ben Simmons is one of those weaknesses. So when you look at it from that perspective, regular season, they're always going to look good. You always see some teams look good in the regular season, and then in the playoffs, it's a complete different scenario. And every time I see in the playoffs, the Sixers struggle. The only time they played elite in the playoffs was when they had Butler, a shot creator, and they even took Ben Simmons off the ball. They even took Ben Simmons off, you know, ball handling because they wanted Butler to run the pick and roll with Embiid. So when you look at it from that perspective, like, that was already a negative for them, but they had Butler. They don't have a Butler. They have Tobias. Can the Tobias be that closer, that shot creator, that guy? It's the same story for the Bucks. Can Middleton be that, or Drew Holiday? And that's something that I don't know if Tobias can be on that type of level to carry you, especially in the context of the East when you have the Nets in the way, right? I don't think that Tobias is on that level to compete with KD shot for shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like Tobias. I think he's elite, and I think he's actually was snubbed this year and should have been the All-Star over Ben Simmons. But that's a different discussion. But, you know, it's about what is your field, comparing you to the field. If you just look at the team individually, okay, they look good, but compared to this team that is supposed to be in your way, how do I see it going to be transpired in the playoffs now that there's pressure, the game slows down, you know, and also too, Embiid has never performed like that he's never rise his level of play to that same MVP superstar level of play in the playoffs. He hasn't done that. And that's why he's having a breakout season in terms of MVP, but he's never translated his elite seasons to the playoffs. He's never done that. He's never done that. So, like, I still have to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like their play styles clash, Simmons and Embiid. Like, that's why Embiid has to be on the perimeter more, because Ben Simmons is holding being in the post in the paint. And like the Clippers, the Sixers play even more old school. You see Ben Simmons post up, you see Embiid post up, and you see Tobias post up, and they literally run. Like, that's all their actions. Their actions start from there. They pick and roll here and there with Steph Curry and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But their main action is those guys get post ups and they play a slow tempo type of game. So, like, in compared to the Nets, is that something like the Nets have beat Philly without Harden, without KD, without Kyrie, you know, them beat, like, I have to see it. I have to see it. So, you know, that's why I don't really believe in the Sixers to that magnitude fully. I have to still see it. I have to see it. What I think the Sixers y'all are seeing now and the Sixers you'll see, and when it matters, I don't think it's going to be the same Sixers, and that's why I don't believe in them. It's the same thing for the Bucks. I would have to see it because both those teams have a hindrance, a blatant hindrance, which is the non-shooting from Giannis and Simmons, and how you maneuver with that hindrance and that deficiency is always going to be something that is intriguing to see, right? The odds are already against you because, again, like I said, the defenders of the other team, of the opponents in a series, when they're trying to win, they're going to force you to your weaknesses. That's what they do. That's what they do. So, like, regular season, they don't do that. So, you know, that's kind of like my take with the Sixers. The Celtics are a whole complete different